we're down here in the greenhouse looking at things going on and trying to explain what's happening in here. It's kind of funny. John came down before I did, and I said to him, how many corn? He said, oh, you had a couple. That was fine. I came over here and I counted 3. And I've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. I walked over the other side and came back, and that fella popped its head through. Oh, there's another one there. 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not a bad gem. They say they germinate between 7 and 10 days. Well, I've been in 7. Look at these other ones I'm waiting on. This is out like a little nursery. What happens here, this mat is always damp because it's being fed from, it's got a special valve there to keep the water level right in there, which keeps, and there's a mat that goes down into a gully. Let's lift it out of the way, I might be able to show it to you. See, the mat goes down into the gully and keeps it full. And this here is a capillary mat, and it just sucks it up and keeps this whole thing damp. So anything that's sitting on here, providing the soil reaching, yeah, the soil's reaching strong on that one, just keeps it moist from the bottom up. So because by capillary action, you've got this constant moisture in here, which is how this whole greenhouse operates. It's through, everything's operating through capillary action. And I think we've got about 35, 36 sweet corn sown there. Might be a few more. Now if I go over this side, this is what actually is driving the entire system. Everything in this greenhouse, plus we intend to extend out the back, it's driven by this pump, and the water comes in the top here into this tank, which has got a float valve on it, and it just keeps the water level there, and then the water comes out and passes through here, and then using venturis of these 2 jerry cans, our 2 nutrients are mixed together in the line. So there's no actual, because with a lot of Autopot stuff, they use these tanks that are just beside us here, and with this much stuff I'd be down here every 10 minutes filling those tanks up. This is coming in from the water mains up the road to the tank, and as I say, this pump comes on 4 times a day and just brings the level back up, which we turn over to this side. These are sitting in the trays, well you can see they're dripping out. These have got a valve in them which keeps to a maximum of about 35 mil of water of nutrient in the bottom here, but the valve will not reopen again until these trays are totally dry. So what happens, we get an oxygen period where the plant's roots are sucking oxygen, which is good. Same happens on the far side with just a bigger pot, a bigger variation of the pot. Down here we've got cauliflower, and over here, and we've got peas that are out of season. You can see them potting up. And for people that think peas come from the supermarket, no, they actually come from out of a pod like this. And we're just growing them up this lettuce here. And on the other side of it, we've got beans. The cool part about it, because they're not in the same, each plant is in its own pot, they don't affect each other, and they're both getting that same, using the same sort of valve to drive these 2 pots, and the nutrients coming from over there. So we can grow all the stuff quite closely together. The only thing I can't do in here is I've got tomatoes. I can't grow sweet corn in here, because from things I've heard and seen, corn and tomatoes will cancel each other's pollination out. So you have a problem with pollination if you grow them too close together. I'm not exactly sure the distance you're supposed to have, but we're going to be growing corn over the far side, which is plenty of room from here. You know, talking about close to 10 metres. As you can see, our tomatoes are going. Our basil took a bit of a hit. I'm not sure exactly what. I actually went through and did some stuff in here a week or so back. I might have burnt it with some sort of nutrient or something like that. But as you can see, the tomatoes are starting to flower, and that little pot there, which I'll be fishing those out, pulling those out of. They're just the suckers that were pulled off here, and what I did is I just, like this, I took my laterals off, and I just push it down. What it does, it gives me a few more, they'll root in there over a week or so. I can take them out and I can put them somewhere else. And behind me here, we've got another pea, another solitary bean over there, because we just had too many to go on that row. Unfortunately, everything I've done is in rows of 5, and if you buy plants, most things come in 6. You can see the silver beet over there, there's 3 in each row. Then we got the onions in the foreground. This here, I think we made a wee mistake. We didn't get the soil pack quite tight enough in this pot and the far one. That one's got carrots in it. Carrots in there. So, and these ones I've yet to, I've got to want to make sure I get this one packed. The thing to get the capillary action working, you've got to have your potting mix pretty tight. And if the white stuff's just perlite, which aids the ability for the soil to, these are actually running potting mix, these ones. The other stuff's just running a perlite vermiculite mix. The silver beet running in perlite vermiculite. But yeah, you can put soil in here. You can grow potatoes, any kind of root vegetable, because these are quite deep. I won't pull one out to show you. But over here, there's a slight variation of the Autopot. It still uses the Autopot valve. Down the very end here, we've got a pot which is the same physical size as these ones, which has the brain in it. Inside that box is a valve which controls the water level, the solution level for the entire 12 pots that are sitting here. It's quite efficient for, in that respect, you're only using one valve to drive all this. All these others, you've actually got a valve sitting in the middle here on each of these. I think we pretty much covered it all. I've got a few trays I've got to clean and get lids on them. I've got a little bit of algae in them I've got to clean out. One of the things we have found is we've really got to keep the nutrient in the dark. You know, once it's mixed. Because it does get a lot of algae. You can see a little bit of algae building up on top of some of the pots. This is all laid out for some cucumbers which we've got in jivvy pellets over the other side. We're waiting for those to germinate. But yeah, we've got the tomatoes are already flowering, which sort of surprised me because they're a determinate, so they don't grow very high. They're going to climb up the trellis. They're more going to reach about here. So our trellis is actually designed for an indeterminate tomato rather than a determinate. And the basil's just sitting in there in the bottom just doing its thing. And I noticed a few of them. The basil sort of, I don't know what's caused that, whether it hasn't got enough nutrient or what, but it's just not going very well at all. But, there's one over here doing real well. Down the back. Yeah, this side here of the back side of the peas, this is where all the beans are. The beans are flowering. And the cool part about this is this entire greenhouse is locked out from any things like fruit, so we don't have any pollinating bees in here. The worst that could happen is I might have to get a little brush and brush the flower. But generally most of the stuff pollinates by the air. So if push comes to shove, I just put a fan on here and blow it down the rows, which then moves all the pollen. We did the lettuces, didn't we? And John's growing some zinnium over the far side. He put them in, how many weeks ago? 2-3 weeks ago. There's some little pots over there. They're just sitting on that tray. We do have another tray sitting over there, which I can sort of set up as a nursery as well. We're just primarily using those two as nursery, and they're sitting under full spectrum lights which go all day. You might notice under here I've got a T8 light because of the way everything's sitting. We had to bring in light, and we noticed the moment we pulled lettuces into here, they just took off on us from that light. And then there's roof lights that come on at 5 in the morning, and they're not on during the day, they go off during the day. They come on at 5 and go off at 9 in the morning. In the afternoons they come on at about the same, at 5 to 9. And just basically all they're doing is that they're really bright T8s, so you get 5600 Kelvin. They're just extending the daylight and giving us a bit better growth in here. But unfortunately the person that was helping me with it, she's not with us anymore. She's watching us from up top, upstairs. So she didn't actually get to see it operating. But, John and I have a very good opportunity to actually make it work. But I am more than happy and really surprised just how well it's actually going. We've got one nutrient that's covering every one nutrient content. I've got to check the EC shortly and just double check it. One nutrient is running the entire greenhouse, and we don't even bother checking the pH on it. Obviously it doesn't look like we need to. Then the one we're about doing over the green smart pots today. So that's pretty much what's going on in here. This is the little greenhouse. When I say little, it's 8 metres that way, 6 metres that way. I would have loved it to be twice this size because we can get so much more in here. That's cool because everything's at a nice height to work with, you know. These collies haven't started to head up yet. But no, it's looking really good. Well, that's about all I've got to tell you today. So that's it. I thank my cameraman for holding the camera for me. We were going to try and run a dolly down through the middle, but my short-sightedness didn't allow for the dolly track. So that's it. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed.